Mr. Vijay Govindarajan, Head of Finance Tanishq, shares insights on the strategic partnership between Tanishq and Innoviti.
So first of all, congratulations for the entire team there for completing a great 20 years. And I'm sure the way the fintech industry is shaping up and how India has leapfrogged on the fintech space, I think I'm sure all of you are all there at the right place and in the right organization, a growing organization, and therefore I'm really happy to be here amongst you.
Why did Tanishq choose Innoviti as their technology partner, despite the presence of other players?
So I was saying that if I had to go back to our business for a brief minute and look at as to why customers are choosing Tanishq, I mean, there are going to be obviously few things which may sound obvious but also need to be delivered that comes into play, which is your customer centricity product. And if I had to therefore put those perspectives into play and look at it from this side and see why we chose Innoviti, and I'm sure these are some factors that are really out there, and this is being demonstrated continuously. And honestly speaking, in an industry where innovation is being done and new entrant in the space keeps coming every day, if we have continued our journey for 8 years, successfully growing from possibly about, I think when we started in 2015, it might have been about 1,000 odd crores of transactions, to possibly today, I think I see it around 8,000 crores of transactions. I think from a beginning perspective, the solution that you offer and the need for a scale and continuing that with backed by a good customer centricity, I think clearly shows why we are partnered with you.
What is the distinctive quality of the Innoviti brand that fosters trust in you?
See, I think, if you look at the way we have grown and therefore you having been part of it, and I just gave you the number, that the transaction with Innoviti has grown almost like 7x in the last 8 years. That's a kind of number. I think 6x or 7x is how and in all this, we have seen that the technology never failed. The sense that the entire connectivity with the banks and or for that matter the entire backend link or whatever for any given transaction, we have never seen it failing. And the bigger point I would make also is we are in a business where there are going to be some huge spikes on a couple of days, like a Dhanteras, Akshaya Tritiyas, etc. And if you go back to these volumes of transactions on those days, supported by the team which is on the field, the number of people you deploy on those days to support us, I think these are a couple of points I would say clearly to see the uniqueness in terms of this model, where there is a product which is solid, which is performing to a certain scale, backed up by a certain customer centricity, which I spoke about in the initial as some key pillars of growth, backed up by a demonstrated, not only a theoretical customer service, but backed up by a demonstrated customer centricity, I think are two factors that stand out for me.
Share two values that brand Innoviti should preserve and two things it should do differently.
I think we'll see, to be honest, right, in some of these conversations, we might be coming back to a couple of pillars of growth that I kept talking at the beginning. And I guess as we have seen, many organizations tend to fail after a certain point in a growth phase. If you take your eyes off your USP, your customer value proposition, and like I outlined, the value proposition you are bringing to the table for somebody like us, like to give an example, your solution is able to route transaction intelligently within our own banking network, or the number of banking relationship you bring to the table. I think these things should continue, and therefore as a product, your product should be at the center stage of your thing. And like I said, right, the demonstrated customer service again is an area where people can fail also. I'm saying, we have seen, we would ourselves have experienced in our own banking systems of how relationships change and certain people at a scale may not be able to offer the same thing that they offered earlier, etc. So we would have had our own grievances, etc. So I think the core pillars of your growth so far, as I have outlined, I think we should continue to focus. Now, look, in terms of things you can focus on, honestly, this industry is growing from an organized, I mean, this industry is large and we are growing. And if you have to look at it from our growth ambitions perspective, right? A sense of maybe a better engagement to understand our growth journey and see the pain points of that growth journey. Because think about it this way, right? We are not going to be growing only in metros. We are going to be growing in tier 2, tier 3 towns and so on. Now, because of the way we are structured, there are certain areas where it sometimes becomes very difficult for us to reconcile these with the banks for the volumes and all that. Now, those are all the areas where we said, can Innoviti come and help us in this? And that's something that we are working on. Analytics is another piece we are kind of talking to Innoviti, saying how when we look at credit card from a fraud perspective and people using different credit cards for same credit card, multiple transactions, there are a lot of analytics we also do in our system to identify transactions which has a nature of fraudulent, which has a fraudulent nature. Now we are talking to Innoviti to see, can you bring in through analytics a way that can help us to control or review these kind of transactions, which for us in our business looks out of turn, from a normal business practice perspective. So in that sense, I think there are areas where definitely with the way the technology is emerging, we can work with Innoviti, and we are already having a couple of conversations. But if you're asking me from a perspective of what Innoviti can do, I think that's a point, right? Like sitting with us in trying to really understand the need. And I keep telling this, even I think 2-3 days ago also we had a conversation with Hemant when he was here, saying like, look, you got a product, but we need this. Now, how are you going to bridge these two? I think so that's those are the places where, like I said, right, if you can pitch in with a solution which is kind of slightly tailor-made to the needs of the customer, I think that will help.
Which of Innoviti's core values resonates with you as a customer?
So I think quality comes out, like I said. I think urgency, again, which relates to kind of making sure our problems are sorted out, or if we need something, getting it addressed, etc. From that pecking order, maybe rest of them, I guess, will have to emerge as we go along. And maybe it'll emerge. I'm sure. Tanishq is here after 30 odd years, So it is not like we came day one and we were like out there. So we have learned our lessons as we went along, as we have traveled this far, and we are continuing to learn as we are moving forward ahead.